On the eve of the wedding, Marcus's first love was on the flight I was controlling. Unexpectedly, we encountered a thunderstorm. I directed the plane to change course, and right after she deplaned, she suffered a heart attack. A slap landed across my face. How sickening. Didn't I already agree to marry you? You'd better pray Chloe is alright. This segment was captured and posted online by someone with malicious intent, and I went viral with public condemnation. He stayed with Chloe all night and didn't show up until the wedding day. After all the trouble of clarifying everything, he casually said, "Chloe is just a bit temperamental, don't take it to heart." Smiling, I took off my ring and threw it at him. "I don't mind. It has nothing to do with me anymore anyway." "Grace, I'm sorry, something urgent came up. Could you please explain to the guests?" Marcus's apologetic voice came from the other end of the phone. But I distinctly heard another woman say, "Marcus, you can go, I'll be fine alone." "How could I leave you alone at the hospital?" "It's alright, don't worry, I'll handle it." Their conversation completely disregarded me. I furrowed my brow, as if I had expected this all along, though a trace of sadness still lingered in my heart. "Marcus, have you really thought this through? This is our wedding, and you're just not showing up? Besides, Chloe isn't even sick." My words ignited him. He angrily rebuked my nitpicking. "Grace, at a time like this, are you still being overly jealous? Is there any point to that? Can't we get married another day? Does it have to be today? I'll tell everyone the wedding is postponed." I stared blankly at the woman in the mirror, dressed in her elaborate wedding attire. For this wedding, I had been up since 3 in the morning doing my makeup, and I hadn't eaten a single thing. As if all my strength had been drained, I asked weakly, "The wedding can be postponed, the ring can be worn by someone else. Am I always just a second choice in your heart?" On the other end, Marcus instinctively tried to deny it. "No, that's not." Then there was a flurry of sounds on his end. It seemed Chloe had suddenly fainted, and I heard anxious voices over the phone. "Alright, Grace, this is how it's going to be. I'm hanging up now." With a sob in my voice, I yelled into the phone, "Have you thought this through? If you don't come today, we're completely over." There was a pause on the other end, then he said, "I'm sorry." All that awaited me was the dial tone of a disconnected call. I gave a self-deprecating laugh, then composed myself and my makeup before going out to reassure the guests who had arrived. A dignified smile on my face, I said, yes, the groom is dead, and I'm very sad too." After finally sending off the last guest, I could no longer suppress my emotions. I buried my face in my arms and sobbed, my cries muffled. In truth, I had a premonition about today's events. 3 days earlier, having just finished my last shift before the wedding, I massaged my neck as I walked out of the air control. Suddenly, not far off, I saw a familiar figure, Marcus. He was wearing a perfectly pressed suit and holding a bouquet of flowers. The moment I saw this, all the frustration from work vanished. A sweet feeling swelled in my heart. He said he wouldn't pick me up. It turns out he was planning a surprise. Before I could call out to him, I saw a petite and charming figure slip into his embrace, and he tenderly stroked the woman's hair. In his eyes was a tenderness I had never seen before. My heart sank, but we were about to get married, and I didn't want any misunderstandings between us. So I walked forward. The moment he saw me, the gentle warmth in his eyes slowly hardened. And I also got a clear look at the woman's face. No wonder she seemed familiar. Wasn't this the very person from the photo Marcus always kept in his wallet's hidden compartment? Last month, while doing laundry, I found Marcus's wallet, which he hadn't taken out of his pants, had fallen to the floor. When I picked it up, it happened to open, and inside lay an 18-year-old girl's ID photo. Marcus heard the noise and immediately rushed out of his home office. Before I could get a good look, he snatched the photo away. He said in a chilling voice, "Don't mess with my things." Before I could explain, he turned and left with the photo. After that, I often saw him staring blankly at that photo. His handsome brows furrowed, and his voice held an undisguised accusation. "Are you following me?" I was speechless. We had been together for 3 years and were about to get married. Did he not know I worked here? I gave a bitter laugh. Just a few days ago, we had argued about Chloe, so his suspicion was not unfounded. I tightly clutched the hem of my dress and forced a smile. "No, I work here." Hearing my words, a flicker of unnaturalness crossed his face. "Oh, Chloe just happened to be coming back today, and I came to pick her up on my way." Hearing this answer, my unusually lively heart didn't settle. Instead, it grew even more uneasy. Before, no matter how much I coquettishly pleaded with him to pick me up, he remained unmoved, always brushing me off by saying the airport was too remote and out of his way. Yet today, if I recall correctly, he cancelled several engagements and came specifically for her. Before I could speak, the girl beside him suddenly gasped, then clutched her heart tightly. Tears poured down her face as if they were free, painting a picture of helpless vulnerability. Marcus, my heart hurts so much. It's all my fault for insisting on flying back to make it to your wedding. But I clearly checked the maximum altitude of this flight, it shouldn't affect my condition. So why did the plane suddenly change its course? After saying this, she fainted. Marcus tenderly scooped her up, then glared at me. If I'm not mistaken, you're an air traffic controller, right? Were you controlling this flight? I nodded, not understanding. Then a sharp slap landed on my face. Grace, I told you I would marry you. I never imagined you were such a malicious woman. To actually use your position to harm Chloe. His voice wasn't quiet, everyone around heard his words, and their gazes freely shifted between the three of us. I was utterly bewildered by his shouting, but his words truly stung me. I didn't. The change in course today was due to the weather. Before I could finish, he pushed me aside, scooped up Chloe, and rushed out. I stood pale-faced in the bustling center of the airport, jostled back and forth by the surging crowds. I felt as if I had been thrown into an ice cellar, shivering uncontrollably from the cold. Once I collected myself, I quickly hailed a cab to follow Marcus and them. Our wedding was in 3 days, I had to clarify things. I followed behind him, watching my soon-to-be husband rush around for another woman, not even bothering to spare me a glance. After he finished, I went up and just called out to him. He first cast a lingering glance at the person lying in the hospital room, then glared at me with disgust, mouthing, "Get out. Don't disturb Chloe's rest." I refused, standing stubbornly in place, looking at him. He had no choice but to come out with me. He rubbed the bridge of his nose. "What are you pretending now? Isn't this all you're doing? Get out. Chloe will be upset if she wakes up and sees you." Tears streamed down my face involuntarily, and I choked out, "I didn't intentionally change course, it was because of the thunderstorm." He interrupted me. "Enough. Is that all? If you're done, then get out." In the few minutes we were out, he glanced at the hospital room no less than 10 times, completely uninterested in anything I was saying. I gave a self-deprecating laugh, then turned and left. As soon as I got home, my phone was ringing off the hook. I saw they were all calls from my supervisor. Wiping away my tears, I thought there might be some temporary work assignment. "Hello, Grace. You should lie low for a while. Brenda will cover your shift tomorrow." I was confused until I saw the trending topic and understood what had happened. A headline accusing an air traffic controller of rivalry with a passenger, intentionally changing course and causing the passenger to have a heart attack, shot to the top of the trending topics. The accompanying evidence was unmistakably that scene at the airport. I felt a quiet indignation. Could this even be considered evidence? Besides, couldn't the company simply issue a statement to prove my innocence? Why did they have to suspend me? I called my supervisor back. Only after a series of questions did I learn that the system was undergoing maintenance these past few days, and the surveillance cameras were being upgraded, so it would take a few days to restore them. I was fuming with anxiety. The online public outcry grew fiercer, and they even dug up our identities and thoroughly dissected them. I also learned online that Marcus and Chloe were each other's first loves, but Chloe's family suddenly went bankrupt, and she was forced to marry a wealthy foreign businessman, only recently divorcing him. With only 1 day left until the wedding, Marcus hadn't returned home once. Feeling uneasy, I went to the hospital again. Marcus wasn't there. Chloe was alone in the hospital room doing a workout routine. She didn't look like she'd had a heart attack at all. Seeing me, she didn't bother to hide it. As she continued her exercises, she confidently told me, "Marcus won't marry you." A surge of unprovoked anger welled up in my heart. She was faking her illness, deliberately stirring up public opinion to attack me, causing my temporary suspension, and making Marcus misunderstand me. Furious, I grabbed her sleeve and demanded, "Why are you lying?" She provocatively curled her lips at me. "So what? I'm just helping Marcus recognize his true feelings." You. I couldn't get a W word out for a long moment. At that moment, she collapsed, resuming her sick beauty act. I harshly pushed her arm. "What are you faking now?" Just then, a powerful shove struck me, and I fell to the floor. Marcus's face was grim, and he looked at me with terrifyingly cold indifference. "It wasn't enough that you harmed Chloe once, now you're here to bully her again?" All the grievances in my heart surged forward at once. I didn't understand why he, my fiancé, was accusing me for the sake of an outsider. I didn't understand what I had done wrong to be suddenly suspended from work. The more I tried to hold back, the more my tears streamed down. I couldn't help but shout, "Aren't you my boyfriend? Do you believe those baseless accusations online too?" The look he gave me was utterly cold. Chloe and I have known each other for years. I know what kind of person she is, she wouldn't lie to me. At that moment, I felt like someone drowning, unable to muster any strength. You know her? What about me? Is this what you think of me? Why don't you look into the truth? That wouldn't be hard for you, would it? Besides, she doesn't have a heart condition at all. She's been lying to you all along. Another slap landed on my cheek without warning. Enough. How sickening. Chloe is already in this state, and you're still deliberately slandering her? I don't see any need for us to get married. You should go calm down first. After saying that, he slammed the hospital room door shut. I was overwhelmed by a profound sense of loss. It turns out that when someone truly loves another, they can really abandon all reason for her sake. I had done nothing wrong, yet because of a single word from her, I was being maliciously assumed to be the worst. Disheartened, I returned home and looked at the meticulously decorated newlywed apartment, feeling a surge of unprovoked anger. I stood on the bed and tore down all the balloons and photos. After doing all this, I lay on the floor like a madwoman. But the next day, I still put on my wedding dress. I was gambling that he wouldn't be so heartless as to abandon our 3-year relationship. Yet I lost the gamble, losing spectacularly. Opening my phone, I saw Chloe had posted something on social media. He made it himself. The accompanying image was a bowl of chicken and rice soup. I saw Marcus's close friends commenting below. Only can really handle Marcus. If I'm not mistaken, isn't today Marcus's wedding day? I knew he still loved you. I smiled, looking at the comments. A man's friends often reflect how much he values you. Then I liked it and scrolled past. When I scrolled back, the social media post was gone. I figured she probably realized she hadn't blocked me and then did. Immediately, I received a call from Marcus. I was going to cook soup for Chloe. What are you threatening her with now? His scolding left me utterly bewildered. What are you talking about? He scoffed coldly, as if saying, "Oh, you're pretending, keep pretending. You deliberately liked her social media post to make her feel guilty, didn't you?" His outrageous statement made me laugh in anger. Are you going to control whose social media posts I like now? Her feeling guilty? Shouldn't she? She ruined my wedding. He was so angry he couldn't form a complete sentence, and I hung up the phone. A wave of relief washed over me. Before, I was always the one being hung up on. It felt good to have control now. With the wedding suddenly cancelled, I was afraid my parents would have to worry about our situation at their age. So I proactively messaged Marcus, hoping he would gather both sets of parents for a meal to clear up what had happened between us. I had already booked the restaurant, but he replied, "I'm sorry, Grace, something came up on my end. Next time, maybe?" I expressionlessly ended the call on my phone, then served dishes to my parents. Seeing my troubled expression, my dad slammed his hand on the table and angrily shouted, "Where is he? I never approved of you two being together in the first place." I didn't want them to worry, so I forced a smile. "Dad, he's probably busy with work, something might have come up. Besides, even if he doesn't come, can't your daughter treat you to dinner?" My mom didn't say anything, just gave me a pained look. I tried hard to ignore my mom's gaze, fearing that if I met her eyes, I wouldn't be able to hold back my tears. His parents also looked distressed, wanting to explain but not knowing how to begin. When first pursued me, it was intense and passionate. Our parents were colleagues, and that day, I was bringing something to my dad when I happened to see Marcus taking his mom home. It was love at first sight for him, and he embarked on an intense pursuit. The moment he won me over, he was like a victorious general. I'll never forget the light in his eyes at that moment, so intense it felt as if it could burn right through me. He wanted to proclaim it to the whole world. My dad had always disapproved of us being together. It was only after I tirelessly worked between them that he reluctantly gave his consent. I always believed in true feelings, but feelings can change in an instant. His ardent love back then was real, and his current indifference was just as real. Thinking of this, my tears were on the verge of spilling. I quickly pretended I needed to go to the restroom to compose myself. Just as I exited the private room, I bumped into Chloe, arm in arm with Marcus, acting cute and laughing as they chatted. The moment he saw me, a flicker of panic crossed Marcus's eyes. He quickly released Chloe's hand, which was tucked into his arm. "Gr Grace. What are you doing here?" At that moment, seeing them arm in arm, my tears completely gave way, like a dam breaking. Seeing me cry, he frantically offered me a tissue. Chloe hasn't been back in a long time and isn't familiar with this area, so I brought her to get acquainted. She also spoke up. Ron the side, Grace, please don't misunderstand, but this restaurant is where we used to come often as kids. Marcus happened to have time today, so we came again. No wonder. Every time Marcus and I had a date, he insisted on booking this place. I thought it was where we first met, but it was actually a place to reminisce about his first love. I wondered, every time you and I dated here, were you thinking of our future or of your past memories with her? Time? So it wasn't that he didn't have time to meet my parents. It was that for her, even no time became time. I gave a self-deprecating laugh and pulled my hand away from his. Did you forget? I asked you yesterday via text message. He frantically fumbled with his phone. At that moment, I turned and walked towards the restroom. His heart jolted, as if something precious would slip away if he didn't hold on to me now. I forcefully shook his hand off. Let go. Both your parents and mine are inside. Do you want them to open the door and see the scene? He slowly released his grip. By the time I returned, they were both gone. I gave a scornful laugh, even more determined to have an honest conversation with both sets of parents today. The airport authorities took only 2 days to completely quell the public outcry, proving that the change in course was the optimal choice, made after multifaceted assessments. The police also traced the source of the video to Chloe herself, and she was jailed for a few days. Netizens also commented below, asking, "Are we just part of your game? Why isn't she coming out to apologize?" Suddenly, she became the one publicly condemned online by netizens. That day, there was a frantic knocking at the door. I glanced at him, then continued preparing my breakfast. At the dining table, I had only prepared food for myself, the space in front of him was empty. I took a sip of soy milk. I used to give up my favorite traditional Chinese breakfast to cater to his preferences, preparing bagels and coffee every day. In truth, I couldn't get used to them at all. He glared at me, then suppressed his dissatisfaction. You told people I died? I paused. Isn't that the quickest explanation? Fine. Fine. He repeated the word fine several times. Go post an announcement online, saying it was all a misunderstanding, and Chloe wasn't the instigator, he commanded. I frowned. I hadn't expected him to twist the truth so shamelessly for Chloe. Why should I? I went through so much trouble to clarify things, and besides, it was her fault to begin with. He slammed his hand on the table, startling me. How can you be so vicious? Do you know what people online are saying about Chloe now? She's just a bit immature and was only joking with you, don't take it to heart. How can Chloe possibly endure such immense harm? Although I was emotionally numb, hearing that statement still made my heart ache. She can't accept it? And I was supposed to just accept what happened to me? Aren't you my fiancé? Where were you when I was being bullied? But now, I don't care anymore, because it has nothing to do with me. His tightly furrowed brows relaxed slightly, and a smile appeared on his face. Chloe. She's different. So you still care about this? If you just post a clarification online, we'll reschedule the wedding immediately. I was astonished by his shameless and audacious behavior. No need. I made it very clear, the day you didn't show up, we were completely over. I stood up and looked at him. Are you done? If so, get out. I threw the ring directly at his face. He looked at me in disbelief, as if he couldn't believe I could say such heartless words to him. His pride and dignity wouldn't allow him to stay any longer. After pushing him out, I slowly slid down against the door, my chest aching as if something had been gouged out. After all, we had been together for 3 years, and the affection and feelings over those years were real. But I wouldn't regret it. Ending an insincere relationship was far better than being miserably trapped in a cage alone. I was glad I had bought this apartment myself, otherwise, in this situation, I wouldn't even have a place to stay. I ignored his text message threats. Soon after, I couldn't find any discussions about this matter online anymore. I knew he had intervened. It was truly ironic. He clearly had the means to resolve these issues, yet he was unwilling to lend a hand when I was deep in trouble. After the public outcry subsided, I also resumed work. With no need to deliberately cater to his preferences, I truly began to appreciate life. I sold that apartment too. Firstly, it held too many memories, both sad and happy, of him and me, and I didn't want to trap myself in that cage. Secondly, it was simply too far from the airport. I had originally chosen it for his convenience, but living there meant I had to wake up at least 2 hours early every day, make him breakfast, and then drive myself to work. I bought a small apartment near the airport, and my daily commute only takes about 15 minutes. And so, I lived a simple, routine life. One day, Marcus stopped me on my way to work. He looked at me intently. Grace, are you serious? Just because I changed the wedding date, you want to completely cut ties with me? I had to admire his astounding lack of awareness. It had been nearly half a month, and he was only just realizing it. I looked back at him seriously. Honestly, ask yourself, was it only about changing the wedding date? Besides, you know me, I don't tolerate injustice. The moment I found out you were together, you should have been mentally prepared, shouldn't you? He stood there crestfallen, like a wilted cabbage, still involuntarily pursing his lips because of my words. I only saw her like a sister. If you mind, I'll break it off with her right now and never contact her again, okay? As if to prove something to me, he panicked and pulled out his phone, only to drop it on the ground. The smooth phone screen cracked into several fissures. As soon as he opened his phone, what caught my eye was that her contact name was still at the top, my dearest Chloe. I gave him a sarcastic glance. If I remembered correctly, my contact name in his phone was just Grace. It was so unfamiliar that I almost thought we were strangers. He snuck a glance at me, then quickly explained. And no, that's not it. She took my phone and changed it herself. His voice grew softer and softer, and he himself seemed to realize that the more he explained, the less clear it became. I couldn't even be bothered to ask why she would have had his phone. I sighed and pushed the phone he had offered back towards him. See this screen? We're like this screen. Once a crack appears, it can never go back to what it was. You should go. After saying that, I turned and walked inside. Entry and exit from the airport's air control required an ID check for entry. I didn't have to worry about him following me in. My shift today was scheduled until early morning. It was the off-peak flying season recently, and after this flight, there wouldn't be another until tomorrow morning. I packed up my things and said goodbye to my colleagues, preparing to go home. Suddenly, I saw a video posted in our group chat by the lobby attendant. Isn't there no one buying tickets anymore? Who is this young man waiting for here? It was Marcus, sitting on a bench in the lobby, his eyes heavy with sleep, about to close. He patted his face to stay awake. Seeing this scene, I felt not a ripple of emotion, only thought it ridiculous. It was a good thing he had always refused to pick me up or drop me off, so no one recognized him. Seeing the video the attendant posted, I decisively chose another exit. Normally, I would always exit through the main lobby, as it was closest to my new apartment. The next day, I had a night shift, so I slept from evening until noon, enjoying a good night's sleep. After I drove to work. I habitually entered through the main lobby. Just as I reached the security gate, someone called out to me. "Gr. Grace." His voice was hoarse and choked. I turned my head and almost didn't recognize him. In just one night, he had become unshaven, with thick dark circles under his eyes, and his eyes were bloodshot. It looked like he hadn't slept all night. What surprised me was that he was still here. In contrast, although I had worked until midnight yesterday, after a day of rest, I was full of energy again. I subtly furrowed my brow. He was usually so meticulous about his appearance. How could he let himself get like this? You should go wash your face first. He glanced at the metallic decorations around him, only then realizing how frightening his current appearance was. I'm sorry. I scared you, didn't I? Wait for me, okay? I'll go wash my face. He looked at me with a nearly pleading look. I checked the airport's large screen, 2:15 p.m. I nodded. I still had 15 minutes until I started my shift. After receiving my affirmative nod, he ran frantically to the restroom, returning with water droplets still clinging to his face. The entire round trip took only 20 seconds. We stared at each other for a long moment. Ultimately, he looked away first, breaking eye contact. He cleared his throat and quietly said, "I waited for you all night yesterday." I nodded, looking at the airport's large screen. 8 minutes remained. Where do you live now? I'll pick you up and drop you off every day. My eyes randomly darted everywhere without purpose. Hearing that, I subconsciously said, "Huh?" Then I quickly said, "There's no need for that." He quickly argued with me. "Why is there no need? Didn't you once want me to pick you up the most?" I sighed, finally looking directly into his eyes. "Didn't you yourself say once upon a time? The old me needed that, but the current me doesn't." The clock showed 2:25 p.m. He wore a hurt expression. Before he could speak, I pointed to the large screen above. "It's almost time. I still need to change into my uniform. You should go. Don't come here again. When it's over, it's over. Can we act like adults and be dignified, please? I'm quite happy with my life now. You can freely and boldly go pursue your first love again, can't you?" After speaking all the words that had been weighing on my heart in one breath, I felt a sudden lightness. He tried to grab my sleeve, but didn't expect me to have already turned away. After I said those words, he indeed quieted down for a while. Several weeks later, the weather in Seaside grew colder by the day. After getting off work, I pulled my coat tighter around me as snowflakes began to fall imperceptibly. For Bluffs, which hadn't seen snow in a long time, it was a welcome sight. With smiling eyes, I watched the snowflakes fall. I decided to just walk home. As I passed an alleyway, I heard faint meowing sounds. I thought I had misheard, so I stopped and listened carefully for a moment before realizing it truly was a cat meowing. I squatted down and began searching, guided by the faint street lights. Meow, meow, I mimicked a cat's meow, hoping to lure it out. Finally, in a cardboard box, I found a small calico kitten that had only just been born. The cold weather had it shivering with cold. I tenderly held it in my arms. Kitty, why are you all alone here? As I held it, I walked forward. Suddenly, a person leapt out from the bushes. He was standing against the light, and I squinted for a long time before recognizing him. Marcus? What are you doing here? Seeing the accumulated snow on him, he must have been squatting there for a while. He cautiously tried to approach me, yet was afraid of the kitten in my arms. He gave a fawning smile and reached out to pet the kitten in my arms. I turned away and frowned. Aren't you allergic to cat dander? A flicker of unusual light appeared on his lifeless face. You still remember? Do you like this kitten? I was taken aback by his question. What did this kitten have to do with him? Connecting the snow on him and the kitten in the cardboard box, I came to a conclusion. You put this cat here? He nodded gleefully. Yes, didn't you always want a kitten? I've been thinking about our past these last few days. My face darkened, and I slapped him. In such cold weather, you just left a newborn kitten out here like this? Do you have no brain or conscience? Stunned, he clutched the side of his face I had slapped red. Red rashes from the allergy dotted his hand. I just wanted to make you happy. I pinched the bridge of my nose. Why don't you understand? There's no future for us, nothing you do will change that. At that moment, the kitten in my arms was meowing plaintively. Its cries grew weaker. I held it even tighter and hurried towards a nearby vet clinic. He followed behind me without saying a word, like a child who had done something wrong. Just as I had followed him that day when he carried Chloe to the hospital, the scenes overlapped in my mind. After examining the kitten, the vet berated us. How could you leave a newborn kitten out in the cold to freeze? If you had come any later, it wouldn't have survived. Marcus's face alternated between pale and flushed with shame as he was scolded. I just nodded from the side, listening carefully to the subsequent care instructions. After the vet finished the emergency treatment, I stood outside the door with the cat and him. Your cat, are you taking it with you? He shook his head vigorously. And no, this was originally meant as a gift for you, and I definitely wouldn't be able to take care of it properly. I didn't answer, just stroked its head. It pressed against my fingertip, sucking on it. Tiny and hadn't grown teeth yet, it gently gnawed on my hand with its gums. Suddenly, in that moment, I didn't want to give it back. All right then, I'll keep the cat. I accept your intention to apologize. Marco. I wish you happiness in the future. He looked at me and remained silent for a long time, so long that I thought he wouldn't speak. He smiled, not responding to what I said. Let's go. I'll take you home. I looked outside. The snow was falling heavier and heavier, and I nodded. After that incident, he truly vanished as if into thin air, no longer appearing in my sight. Days passed like this, but then an uninvited guest arrived. During a thunderstorm, I was in the air control, constantly monitoring the radar signal. It was a rare, massive lightning strike, the likes of which hadn't been seen in years. A bolt of lightning struck, and the entire control tower went pitch black. It startled us all. This was a major incident. Thankfully, the indoor lights were on a separate circuit. Only the indoor lights went out, the radar and server power were still working. After a moment of panic, I was the first to regain composure. I instructed the intern to go to the storage room to get the backup power supply and immediately call our superiors to have them repair the circuit. I kept my eyes on the screen. Out of the corner of my eye, I felt someone approaching me in the dark. I thought it was the intern returning after making the call, so I didn't pay much attention. Suddenly, a cold metal object pressed tightly against my face. It reflected faint silver light in the darkness, and that's when I realized something was wrong. I cautiously turned my head to look behind me. Unexpectedly, it was Chloe. How did she get in? That was my first thought. I tried to steady my trembling voice. What are you doing here? She didn't answer. Instead, she let out a sinister laugh. Her laughter echoed through the dark environment, unnerving me and making me break out in a cold sweat. I came to find you. She spoke close to my ear, making me feel as if a cold, venomous snake was hissing into it. From her words, I sensed that her mental state seemed off. So I dared not make a rash move. Whatever it is, put the knife down and let's talk calmly, okay? Out of the corner of my eye, I was still constantly monitoring the radar signal on the large screen. She scoffed, talk calmly? I know it. You must have told him my heart attack was fake, wasn't it? Tell me. She was speaking incoherently and rambling, and her voice grew higher and more agitated. Today, only the intern and I were on duty. The relief staff hadn't arrived yet, and now the intern had gone out to make a call. I had to calm her down first. No, I didn't. Please don't get agitated. He and I are already over, and we haven't been in contact for a long time. Her eyes momentarily glazed over, then she yelled, impossible. Then why has Marcus deleted all my contact information, and all his phone wallpapers are now you? You're definitely lying to me. Taking advantage of her momentary distraction, I quickly pinned her against the table with one hand. The plane was about to land, I didn't have time to waste time with her. I quickly put on the headset with one hand, holding her hand tightly with the other. I began giving instructions calmly and methodically. Skywing 1968, ascend to standard pressure altitude 3800. Seeing that the plane was about to land, Chloe fought back fiercely. I couldn't hold her with one hand, she was about to grab my mouse. This was a crucial moment for air traffic control, and I couldn't help but shout. Are you crazy? Do you know how many people you'll kill with what you're doing right now? I don't care. I don't care. I was anxious, wondering why the intern hadn't returned after being on the phone for so long. Just then, the door suddenly opened, letting in a sliver of light. A man and a woman walked in. The intern was still explaining the situation, shining a flashlight our way, and found that something was wrong. The flashlight flashed at her, and she instinctively raised her hand to block the light. I quickly reclaimed control of the mouse. Get her out of here. The tall police officer next to me rushed out of the darkness and was the first to restrain Chloe. I put on my headset and continued to control Skywing 1968. Only after it successfully landed did I breathe a sigh of relief. The tall police officer was indeed the police officer who had arrived. Repair revealed that the circuit breaker's wires were cleanly cut, so the intern had called the police. Then also rushed over, first looking at me nervously. After ensuring I was all right, he then turned to Chloe. His eyes filled with disgust as he said, if anything had happened to Grace, I wouldn't let you off the hook. I didn't want to be involved in their affairs, so I told the police officer. Take her away, do whatever needs to be done. Marcus tried to approach me to speak, but I held up my hand to stop him. No, don't. I don't want my life to be inexplicably threatened again. He stopped his advance, a hint of hurt in his eyes, and then left with them. I next heard news of the two of them in the news the next day. Chloe's mental state seemed off. Before being detained, she asked to see Marcus. Marcus agreed, but before he could even speak, Chloe stabbed him. Although not fatal, he was stabbed in the kidney area. After emergency surgery, his life was saved, but he would need a catheter for the rest of his life. Because of this, he became despondent, spending his days in self-pity and alcohol abuse. Meanwhile, I took advantage of this opportunity to take annual leave and traveled all over the world. From then on, the world was my oyster, and I was the master of my own freedom and destiny. Thank you for watching today's story. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and share it with your friends. We look forward to hearing your thoughts in the comments. Feel free to share your perspectives, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more exciting stories. See you next time.